It's time for Breaking Chains with Healthy Monday, where we will discuss spiritual, mental, and physical health issues. It's Breaking Chains with Healthy Monday on YAT Radio.
We would like to say good evening to you, and it is a pleasure and an honor to be on the podcast tonight with Queen Sheena and King Bo. I'm Elder Katrina Kennedy. We greet you tonight, and we are ready to get started on some healthy issues to let our people know that it's time to start living healthy. Queen, are you ready? Hello, Queen Sheena, are you on? I think we may be having some technical difficulties, but tonight we would like to say welcome to Breaking Chains with Healthy Mondays. We're on every Monday, and we've taken a little sabbatical because we've had a couple of things going on the last few weeks. We've had different things at our church going on, and before that, Queen was sick, and now we're back and we're ready to get started. I know that the weather has been up and down with the cold and the snow and the ice, the rain and the heat. And so a lot of people have been sick. And it's just good to be back on. Hey, Queen, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. How are you doing, Queen?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. How are my kings and queens out there doing? It's so good to be back on the radio. We miss you.
Yes.
So we are definitely looking forward to talking about some much-needed mental health talk tonight. I got some juicy stuff for you, so I'm excited.
Ooh, I am so ready. Lay it on me. As a matter of fact, let me get my notebook and my pen ready.
We know how you do.
You're right.
But I really just want to start today with really asking, the topic today is just really, how is everyone doing? And I mean that in the most sincerest of ways. Like, how is everyone really mentally doing?
Wow, that's good.
I don't think
really
that
hard. We don't really.
Go ahead, Queen.
Go ahead. No, I was just saying that's really good because I don't think we take the time out to actually connect mental health with our physical being, you know. How is everyone doing? I'm excited. I think that's really a good topic to start off with on tonight.
I think it's very much needed, especially being that I've been hearing some stuff around town. Word of mouth gets around pretty quickly with these outrageous electric and gas bills.
Ooh.
Yes.
See, I had no idea you were going to go there.
It's ridiculous, and I just have to think that a lot of people are about to be without utilities. And if that don't play on your mental health, then I don't know what does.
You're right about that.
I mean, it's really outrageous to have a $600 power bill, a $300 gas bill.
Wow. Well, the way the weather has been, though,
it's ridiculous.
It's almost impossible to not have that. But how do we, get past that? How do we handle that? Because I know we don't really think of it as being part of the mental health state. So yeah, let's delve into it. I'm ready.
But I just believe that since I've been renting my own place, I have never in my life paid that kind of bill. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on with Spire. We may have to look into them a little bit more.
Okay.
Because they got something going on. Like I said, but you know what happens when companies consolidate, which they have done. Mobile Gas and Gas go from Birmingham, so
right.
pretty much they're bringing up old accounts that I know I had one brought up from over 10 years ago, and pretty much telling you have to pay that, or you're gonna get your gas cut off, which plays into the ones who are getting government assistance. If you get anything cut off, that's it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you have to have utilities in order to operate a home. And now, without having the proper insulation and things like that, I mean, I know that my house was built in the 60s, and thank goodness we had, when we first moved in, we had to get somebody out to kind of check into some of the air that was coming in from the attic. And come to find out, the insulation had worn. I don't know if it was from, little critters going up there eating the insulation or what have you. But we had to get the house re-insulated. And it cost as much to have a house re-insulated as it would to build a house right about now. But
I know
when you think of the long-term effects, when you think about the long-term effects of buying a house, it's very expensive to be a homeowner. And if you have a proper landlord that's going to make sure that everything is secure, you need insulation, not only for the air, but for the heat as well, which is why we're having so many spiked gas bills and electric bills, but also, the physical health. People's health are not good because of carbon monoxide and things like that. So I think that this is really good because I never really think about it as a mental health aspect, kind of help us, enlighten us a little bit about, you wanted to expand on how everyone is doing, and you really shocked me. I wasn't thinking that you were going to come in from the mental health standpoint, but now you're making me think, like, in all honesty, all of this plays a part when you're not able to provide for your family and you're not able to take care of the bills because of past bills or what have you. How do you succumb that? Like, how do you deal with it on a daily basis?
Exactly.
I mean, that's just really good. You got me thinking.
I think it's impossible because if you don't make $13 an hour, me and my husband have done the math. It's pretty much impossible. Like I said, you're going to be living below the poverty level if you don't make $13 an hour. That's just the plain truth of it.
Well,
and that's just the sad part about it. Yes, in Mobile in particular, 70% of people renting live below the poverty line. 70%.
Wow, that's
a
pretty
staggering
high.
Number. Exactly. Exactly. And then, of course, we all know when you're renting, you have to make 3 times the amount of rent, which on 725, at 550, you just can't. You're not even making that if you have a minimum wage job. And average rent is higher than 550.
Yeah, this is true. And not only the average rent of being $550 to $725, you think about when you move in, now you have to pay the security deposit. And now most landlords want first month, last month's rent because of someone else, having messed up or what have you. So that makes it harder for the next set of tenants that go in. And it also makes me wonder about the homeless population because of all of these things, and it only takes one setback.
Yes.
I mean, I don't say
There's no room for error.
I live from paycheck. Well, I don't say I live from paycheck to paycheck. Just be honest, Queen. I say that I'm one step from poverty.
Yes.
Because if I don't make the next paycheck, or if I don't sit there and balance and try to, make sure that everything is paid, then I may not make it to the next paycheck.
Exactly.
So that's one step out of poverty. And I don't think people really look at it from that perspective. It's just kind of like, okay, well, I go to work and I do what I need to do and everything, but after a while, it just overcomes you and overshadows you, and then you can't pull out. I hear my mother say this thing, and it's really interesting. She says, I can't borrow from myself. Because if you borrow, how are you going to pay yourself back? We used to say, robbing Peter to pay Paul, but real honest, true honesty, we are really borrowing from ourselves. And how can you pay yourself back?
You can't.
So that's really good.
It's crazy. And it's so sad that the older I've gotten, I realize, like I said, it's systemic. So there's really, unless the people rally together, there's really not going to be too much we can do. But we are the majority. But we all have to realize, like you said, how serious it is. It's not a paycheck. It's a step.
Yeah.
Literally. Like I said, there's no room for error.
Right.
And that's one reason why I don't do auto pay for bills, because I never know what's going to happen, and I can't even afford the overdraft.
No, you can't. Because then you've got, believe it or not, this is a monopoly, what we're dealing with every month. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you do an auto pay, and you find yourself not able to meet that bill, okay? Even if you go and get the bill when you realize that, you don't have enough time to call and stop the auto pay. So you get there to the place of business and you try to make the payment. You still have to pay the overdraft fee.
Exactly.
And if you don't watch it, they'll even charge a reconnect fee. So it's really a monopoly. There's no way around it. So when you go into that auto pay mechanism, you're going into that monopoly that they have you just kind of like going round and round. And it's time out for that. Like you said earlier, it's systemic. But we can't allow people to force us to do things that we know we can't do.
Exactly. But like I said, I guess the problem, which I always say honestly, is the borderline problem is poverty. We have to give people living wages. We just have to. Because at this point, people are just surviving. They're going to work to pay bills. Like literally, if you're not paying, but you're paying for child care. That's all we're doing. It's paying to live.
Absolutely.
Hardly enjoying the fruits of life.
Absolutely.
When you work so hard, it's like, and the boss is getting rich though.
Oh well.
And even when you go to a job, it's like I said, it's so systemic because even McDonald's, it's like, I'll teach you how to do the fries, but I'm not going to teach you how to do the burgers, the cash register, and everything else because you're going to move up.
Right.
But if you can do this one thing real well, that's where you'll stay. Even with
That's
the high school diploma, which we know is very, great to have, but it's still going to be, like I said, a minimum wage job. Even me, I went to college and all that stuff. I have my associate's degree in business accounting. But when I got out of when I got out of college, I couldn't even find a job in my field. And I spent all that money on tuition, just going to school and everything, couldn't even find a job in my field. And that was from state to state. Not knowing that, business accounting is really like a older white male job, and they've been at that job since they were like in their 20s.
Yep, and they're not going anywhere until they retire.
Exactly. But
and
I didn't know
then you
that,
also
so
have
I went
to think
in.
about this.
Go ahead, Queen.
No, I was just thinking.
No, go ahead, please.
When you said that about the associate's degree and you put all of this time and effort into it, thinking that you were doing something positive to support your family. And well, let's just even go here, just to be able to support yourself.
Exactly.
And then you get to the jobs, and the first thing they want to say is, okay, well, we don't have any openings in this particular position in which you're applying for, although you're qualified. but have you ever heard the word that you're overqualified for another position?
Yes, I have, and it's ridiculous. I've never had. It was mind-boggling to me. I had one older lady tell me once. She said, "You know what? It's sad to say, but she said sometimes it depends on the job you're applying for. Sometimes you may have to add or omit things just because they're going." I'm like, this is so crazy. It's like I just need a job. Obviously, I need a job bad. If I went through all this stuff and I still have, it's ridiculous. Because I guess they feel like they have to pay you what you're worth, I guess.
Well, I don't know if it's that they pay you what you're worth. I think a lot of times it's just that it's their way of saying, I'm not interested. You know, you do everything you can to sell yourself, right? You go to school to sell yourself. You work your way up to sell yourself. You're a commodity. You're preparing yourself to be the best on the market. So when you go in, you sell yourself. And to hear somebody tell you that you're overqualified is a slap in the face. So my question is, how do you pull out of that particular situation where you're trying to make a way? You go in and it's happened to me before too, where I went to business school and I was walking around with a briefcase because I had, was typing 120 words a minute. I mean, hear me out. This was serious. And I was in a little small town in Louisiana, and I was trying to find a job. And I went to on a job interview at this insurance company. And I don't guess it was a very big insurance company, but I was just like, look, I need to work. The guy was like, well, you're overqualified. Well, I guess because I walked in there with a suit on and a briefcase, I wasn't trying to be all that I wasn't, but I was trying to sell myself because I really wanted the job, right? And I wound up getting a job at Walmart. No, I think I might have even started working as a nursing assistant because I had that certification as well. But it is very depressing when you get yourself in that position and you feel that you're prepared and you're ready to go and you're going to go and accomplish something. You go with the expectations. I've got all of this in order. I've got my resume. I've gone to school. I've got everything I need. And then you tell me I'm overqualified. What does that do for mental health? The mental state is damaged. You can't pull out of that.
And you just think about the years that, like you said, the previous years that you spent trying to get to this point. And it's a lot of time. But I won't say that, later on, that you live and you learn. That goes without saying. But at that time, that is really, like you said, that is a depressing thing. That's a hard hit to take.
It is.
Especially when you've been told, if you just do this, go to school, you can get this job. If you just do this and get the scholarships, go to this college, you can get this job, especially when we've been hearing that all through school.
Right. But see, that's the thing. We are listening to people, but in all honesty, those are people that we trust to prepare us to do what it is that we are, what we're trying to accomplish, but they're not the person that we have to impress. That's the thing. The people that you have to impress are the people on the jobs. So if you could find someone, believe it or not, that will train you and everything, and even if somebody would have told me this, I guess, years before when I was trying to go to school, I don't know that I would have listened, because people, your family and everything keeps saying, get an education, do better than what I did. So you go in debt and you try to go to school, and it's just like a slap in the face. So how many times can you be slapped, before you either give in or, decide that you're going to work and keep doing what you can until you can do better, get what it is that you deserve, what you've been working so hard for?
Yes, and that's the conundrum, because we all know that everybody's breaking point is different. So it's shorter for others, longer for others. So that's just, like I said, I can only see it as policy change. I mean, we just have to think about the degree in the first place when you go all the way back to the plantation. It's that we've had 400 years to get a master's in everything we've been doing, but now I need a piece of paper for, to be certified when I already know how to do this. Like Big Mama raised 6 generations of kids off of a 3rd, 4th, 5th grade education. But now she needs to be certified to do so, to take care, so.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think it's just policy change. It's the book Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome is so enlightening. It'll make you realize why we do a lot of things that we do without even knowing why. Very interesting read.
Who's that book by? Do you know?
I know her last name is Degrury, Degrury. I can't think of her first name right now. But yeah, it's just really good about it. It's really about mental health and us African Americans, African descendants. I mean, that's pretty much what the book is all about. I mean, how our children, even if we're in the bank, we see the other Caucasian kids running around, running up to people, running up to the teller. But when our kids start sneaking away, we giving them that look like, no, get back here right now. And it's like, oh, I have to think to myself. It's like, I really do that. But it's that I don't know if I'm afraid someone's, they're going to say something. Someone's going to say something to them. I don't know what it is. But like I said, I could remember my mom doing that to me as a child. And I think that could be good and bad for our kids because our kids are more restricted. They can't be as free as other children. But it is a protection thing.
I said, so is that a bad thing or is it a good thing? I mean,
exactly.
We've kind of groomed our children to do basically what we were taught to do. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
It goes from generation to generation. And we want our children to act a certain way. So are we hurting them or are we helping them? When we say, no, don't run off in the store or don't run around in the bank or not even take them with us when we go and handle our business because, we have to, so how do we, there's no book on how to raise your children or how to deal with society or how to deal with being overqualified or underqualified or wasting money going to school for 4, 5, 6 years and get a bachelor's degree in a field that's nothing but if you don't have a master's degree in this field, you're not going to do anything but just have a degree. How do we handle these situations with our children? Because it starts with us. But how do we handle that? How do we handle preparing our children for rejection?
Exactly, because it is a part of life. That goes without saying.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So what are we doing?
I know, right? Marvin Gaye is like, it makes you want to holler, doesn't it? I know. I know, sister.
Yeah, really.
I understand. It's so we have a ways to go, but I'm the kind of person that I have to. It's time to take action. We have to bring the solution because it starts with the youth, definitely. And that's why we're raising our children to kind of, to be free thinkers, but you have to be an analyst. You have to analyze things before you just jump into it. And I like to describe, me personally, maturity as, figuring out a situation, analyzing the situation, and seeing if it works for you or not, and if you accept it or not.
Is that kind of the same thing as if you have a problem, don't come to me with the problem unless you have a solution?
No, it's always good to let someone vent, but venting can only go so far. When that's the only thing is on the same subject at that, then you have to come with a solution eventually, because then that just turns into insanity.
Okay.
So it's always good to be a listener, but like I said, it's a fine line between being a listener and an enabler. So we have to be, it's hard. Like I said, it's hard across the board because people are dealing with just so many things. Like as with the state report card that just came out on all the schools.
Right.
It's so depressing to see what's going on with our inner city schools. It's just really sad. And me being a teacher, and a mentor, my husband and I can honestly say that a lot of our children are just not prepared. And it's like, I hate to see the news saying that the schools are failing. It's like, no, we're failing our children. There's no way a kid can get to 5th grade and not be able to read at a 2nd grade level. There's just no way. And how did this child get that far? We know it happens a lot, honestly, with athletes. That happens a lot. But, I don't understand how you can just our kids and their math and their reading it's not where it should be at. But like I said, also they're getting passed, and I'm just not understanding that either, because that's not their fault.
No, it's not. But how do you? I know for me, I went into the schools with my children, especially my oldest son, and sat there because he was having trouble with this new math. Mm-hmm. And he would come home with the problem, and I would teach him how to work the problem based on, what the way I was taught. And he comes home from school, and he was just like, no, I got it wrong. I failed. I didn't do it right. I'm like, well, what do you mean you didn't do it right? It's basic adding and subtracting. 3-digit subtraction. Mm-hmm. And he sat there and showed me how to do this case numbers and all of that. And I'm like, what in the world? So I literally had to go to the school and sit in his classroom one day and learn how to work this math the way his teacher taught him to work the math. And I didn't fail my son. Mm-hmm. Nor did I fail. It's just that everything is changing, and they want you to do it a certain way. I think what I'm saying is, I'm not trying to dismiss the new math or the new ways of doing things. But when it comes to counting money, it's the same way. Mm-hmm. You count the money, you subtract it. If you come out with not having enough, then you can't buy whatever it is you want to buy. So why is it now we've got all of these new rules and regulations on how to get the answer to the problem? It's the same way, or it should be the same way. We put all these standards on our children because things are changing. But when it's all said and done, it's still the same way. It's the same. You get the same answer the same way, except now they want you to do it by putting a number in a box instead of carrying the number over. You have to put it in a box to the side. Well, that's not the most confusing thing I've ever heard of.
Exactly. I'm so glad you said that. My husband and I, yesterday, he looked at my daughter's math, and he's like, they're doing algebra in 1st grade? But our daughter just happens, she just happens to be bright. I mean, because like I said, I can't even do that stuff sometimes that she brings home. I'm like, what is this? And we, we always volunteer in their classrooms ever since early Head Start. But I really felt bad for her kindergarten teacher, because it's just constant testing. Right now it's just all about testing, honestly. It's all about the numbers. They test so much. They have to test each child individually when there's one teacher in the classroom and about 20 students. Not just 20 students, 20 kindergarten students with 20 different personalities. she was so glad when we came to the classroom because she was actually able to, take a few students to the side. I was able to take a few. My husband was able to take a few, but they need help as far. So I'm so glad you said that because they do need help on the other end. And all this testing, the teachers can't even, they're pretty much mind-boggled with it, but guess what? They can't say anything because, they're employees of the government. It's just awful, but it's just too much for these kids' little brains to handle. It's just so much.
So my thing is, since we can't change the system, okay?
As of now.
Agree that, we can't change the system. I mean, we can't go in there tomorrow and say, okay, we're going to change this way of doing things, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to go through some different channels, and we're going to have to write some letters to the Senate, and we're going to have to, get to the school, the Board of Education, and talk to them. We got to do some things. That's going to take some time. So how do we teach our listeners and our children, our peers, our colleagues, our friends, how do we deal with these issues? Because it's affecting us mentally. Our health is being impaired. You said earlier that we have to rally together. How can we do that? And I'm not expecting you to come up with a whole list of questions today or a whole list of answers today. But I'm just saying, that's just my question. I understand that we've got to, analyze, and we be free to think and then analyze. But until we can make a change wholeheartedly with let's just say we're going to tackle the Board of Education, all right? So how do we teach our children, our peers, our sisters, our brothers, our kings, our queens, how do we to handle these situations to avoid not necessarily the mental health issues or mental health disease, but how do we cope? Because these things are real. They're taking our people out. How do we what can we tell our people on how to cope? I don't know if people are aware, but the suicide rate is increasing daily because of pressures of life. How do we handle this? I know it's one step at a time, one person at a time, but what can we tell someone who's listening right now? Give them some sort of hope, one shred of hope on these astronomical light bills, because I've had people calling me on a daily. My lights are due, my rent is due, what can I tell them?
Well, we got to tell them to just, that's a hard one. But I always say it takes a village. There's always somebody around that could just it doesn't have to be monetary all the time. It doesn't have, just that emotional support is where it starts. The emotional support. And also, like I said, it is going to take us to rally together. It just is. But me personally, with my journalism background and everything, I'm going to start putting pamphlets out there to the people, just to raise awareness to just all these issues, to ask the people what the issues are and how we can help each other get to this goal, how we can come up with a solution. But I really want to, like I said, start putting out pamphlets to the neighborhood and just ask people what their issues are, because we have to do something. We just can't go on. We're all going to be in a mental fog if we keep going the way we're going.
You're right about it.
And we have to stop waiting, as we always discuss, we have to stop waiting until it hits our doorstep.
Oh.
That's our main, that's the Achilles heel for us. We have to stop waiting until it hits our doorstep. Because I consider every child at the elementary school my kid goes to, every child is my child. I just don't claim mine. All of them are my children because they're all the future of my community.
Right.
So we just have to be there for one another. As I said, even it's something as simple as carpool. The street I live on, probably 4 or 5 kids go to the same school. Why is everybody starting up their car? If you're not going to work, why is everybody starting up their car to go to the same place when we could just carpool and let somebody sleep in for a week, and the next person carpools and you can sleep in for the week, things like that. It's just one revolutionary act at a time, as we like to say.
So
and we just have to get to know each other some more. And it's like I said, it's just in our neighborhood. It's sad to say you see the police more than you see your neighbor, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
We have to get, but I'm about to go old school, Queen. I'm telling you, I'm about to knock door to door, introduce myself and my family, and we just gonna go all around the neighborhood because it starts with us.
I agree. I definitely agree. It's too much individualistic syndrome and not enough of unified syndrome. And that's where it starts. Like you said, we've got to become as one and learn who our neighbors are. And so what if, one neighbor is not as, outgoing or able to do as much as the other neighbor can do. Do you remember about if you wanted to make a cake but you didn't have enough ingredients to make the cake, so you would go down and borrow a stick of butter or an egg or sugar from somebody, and then once you get that cake made, you then turn around and you give everybody in your neighborhood, not just the people that gave you the ingredients to help you make the cake, but the neighborhood ate off of that one piece of cake or that one cake. It's time for us to go back to that, because
definitely
it's more than just once a Sunday type thing. This is an everyday thing. If we would know, if you look outside your door right now, I'm not talking about you, Queen, because I know you know your neighbors and I know my neighbors, but this is not one of those type questions where we have to answer, but this is for our listeners. If you look outside your door right now, in front of you and beside you, and if you live in an apartment complex, above you or beneath you, what do you know about your neighbor? Do you know their name? Do you know their favorite color? Do you know if their car started this morning? Do you know if they were able to make it to work? Do you know if they made it in safely? Do you know that if they don't wake up because you don't get a phone call or you don't see them outside with a cup of coffee or something, that you need to go and check on them? Do you know their name? Do you have the phone? If you get ready to go out of town, do you have a neighbor that will look out for you and know that you said you were going to be back on Tuesday, and if you didn't get back on Tuesday at that time, they started calling you to find out if everything is okay?
That's right.
That's the unity that we need, and it starts with us today, bringing that village together that's all around us. And if you start it within your village, then it'll trickle on down to the next village, and then the next village, and then the next village.
Exactly. And that's what we need. You are so correct. Me and my husband had that discussion about the Secret Santa. In school you do the Secret Santa thing. And it's amazing how many people, and these are people you sit in school with all year long, and it's amazing how many people don't know anything about their classmate that you sit next to all year. You still have to ask them what they like you said, what's their favorite color, and what's their, even their last name, middle name, and it's like, do we really care about the people who are around us or take interest in them?
Well, we've got to start somewhere.
Yes.
And, we're constantly encouraging our children to do this. But what do our children see us doing? That's another thing.
Yes.
If they hear you saying, well, you should do X, Y, Z, but you're not doing X, Y, Z, then, children nowadays are going to speak up. They don't consider it talking back. They consider it speaking up.
Mhm. Exactly.
So we don't have to do like Michael Jackson said, look in the mirror. Because our children will let us know what it is that they see.
Yes. And when we have the time to, when your children, like you said, what do your children see you doing? My husband and I have been practicing very much so, because when you're having idle talk is when your children are really listening to you the most, when you think they're not. So we're always having, like I said, we're always really talking about building. That's what I want them to remember about their parents. Yes, they drug us to a million meetings. We went to a million protests, and we went to city council and all. But I just want them to still have that embedded in them when we gone from here. I want you to still do the work of the people.
Right.
I want you to be talking about solution, building, progressing, and unifying. I just want those things to be in your, my sons, 4 and 5, but queen, king, all that are in their vocabulary right now.
Well, we have
to embed that in them.
Right. It should be a part of our DNA. It really should. And it starts with us. But the interesting thing is, we say that our children look at us and they mimic us. Sometimes we need to mimic our children.
I know that's right. That is the truth. They are the most innocent part of ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yes, and I like to use the Forrest Gump analogy. A lot of people look at him like he was slow or dumb, what have you, but he was so intelligent because he didn't complicate life. A lot of times that's what we do. We complicate life so much and put so much on ourselves that we need not be. Instead of seeing it, just sometimes things are black and white, I have to say. And we want to make it green, purple, and everything else. So we just have to, like I said, we have to, like I said, we have to do away with those things that aren't good for us. That's number one. Those toxic relationships and everything, we know truly in our heart and our conscience, especially when a relationship is not good, it's not being fruitful, it's not, you're not equally yoked. We know these things. But when you continue to stay there is where the mental health problems come in. And that's with a spouse, a sister, a mother, or anything.
That's true.
Your good instinct usually isn't wrong. I mean, you have to follow, like I said, your conscience is your guide. I mean, literally it is. You have to pay attention to, I like to call them the context clues and the warning signs, because they're usually always there before a big explosion happens. We just have to be conscious of that. Like I said, that positive energy is just like the negative energy. It spreads, and it's nothing like it. It's so, you don't even have to try when it's positive. It's not like a job. It's not that extra energy you have to use to use for that negativity. It's just not. Like I said, you catch that positive vibe, and it just carries on all day to the next person, to the next person, to the next person.
Right.
But we've been trained, like I said, there's so much we're dealing with in life. I don't want to say we've been trained to be negative. That's not it. We're just dealing with trying to survive. A lot of us are just dealing with trying to survive, trying to get to the next day. Like you said, that next step, not the next paycheck. We need to get to tomorrow.
Right.
Exactly. So I could see it on both ends. But like I said, it starts with self. That's why I said I'm about to get out here. Look, you may see a pamphlet on your door way out there from me. But I'm about to get out here and get on the soapbox, I'm telling you, and just get it going, because we have to get to know each other. We have to. Especially our neighbors. There's no way you can live next door to a person and not know any of their intentions, anything about them. It's just that should be impossible. That shouldn't even be comfortable for you.
That's true. It's not comfortable, and it's as a matter of fact, so much is going on now, and we say, well, we've got this community, but yet when somebody goes into your mailbox or somebody goes on your porch and takes something, and you can't even say, well, I live in a subdivision by myself or on a farm or, in a rural area. Mm-hmm. You got people right beside you and don't nobody know nothing. They don't hear nothing. They don't know nothing. They don't see nothing. They don't tell nothing. And we got to stop living like that.
Exactly.
Got to.
Exactly. One of the things my husband is big on, him and the kings, our comrades, are holding each other accountable. It's okay to do that. There should be no reason why you can't tell your friend or whoever that, I don't think you handled this situation the right way, and this is why. And we just, we just had a situation like this about 2 days ago. But when we have to realize everything that we've been through together, I did bring it to your attention. It wasn't all out there on social media or what have you. And we realize that the mission of the people is the top priority. We can move past that because the top priority is helping the people. But you have to humble yourself, be able to take constructive criticism, because there is a certain way to tell people things. Without a doubt, there is. So that constructive criticism,
everything is not necessarily.
Go ahead, Queen.
Well, everything isn't necessarily criticism. That's the thing. Just because you are re-emphasizing, reiterating, or, going to someone, people should not take it as such. It's not criticism, even if it's constructive. It's just reiteration. Or, I think we need, because, when you hear criticism, you forget all about constructive.
You just cringe.
I know. All about, right. You just hear criticism. And that's what people focus on. And then it's like, oh, my word, all I was trying to do was, either take a different approach or tell you to take a different approach, or just have you think about what it is that you did or said and figure out another way that you could have done it.
Yes.
It's not that I'm criticizing. So you got to be very, now, Queen, you have to be careful what you even think. Because people will look at you and say, but you look like you meant something else. Or why are you looking at me like that? And I'm thinking, oh, my word.
Really?
So now you're going to look at my eyes and you're going to judge me by my eyes? I hadn't even said anything.
Now, that's scary.
But it happens often.
Oh, my goodness.
It happens.
Oh, my goodness. Now, that's a new one. Look, now you got me scared to think over here.
I'm trying to tell you now. You have a smile on your face. Every time I see you, you have a smile. I'm a serious person, and I don't mean any harm. I just don't do a whole lot of laughing. I try not to say it before I think about it. But I can't remember to smile every time you come to me. I can't remember to
you sound like my husband.
I just can't do it.
Yeah,
there's too many things. So you want me to think, you want me to smile, you want me to look a certain way.
Exactly.
So you want me to be somebody else.
You don't want me to say certain
That's
things.
not who I am.
Exactly. And that's a compromise. You can't compromise who you are.
Really. So I'm just like, okay. So, then when people come back to me, well, you said something, or you look like you didn't want to be bothered, or I was just like, okay. Just because I'm not looking like I want to be bothered, I wouldn't tell you to go ahead. I'm listening to you if I didn't want to be bothered.
Exactly.
But it's all it's in perception. It's not necessarily in what it is that we're doing or not doing. It's about how people perceive us. So if they already have a chip on their shoulders and they come to us and ask for something and then we don't look right, then you mean tell me I gotta suffer for that? I'm penalized because I don't look a certain way, or because I'm frowned up, or I'm not smiling, or
I'm not being what you want me to be at the moment.
Help me.
Look. King goes through the same thing all the time. He's like, but I'm so friendly. I'm like, but look, the look on your face right now doesn't say friendly, but but everybody is different. But me personally, I'm still going to approach a person because that's just me. I'm just a social butterfly. And if you don't want to be bothered, you tell me, just like you say. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
I think we have to be exactly. I mean, the worst that somebody can tell you is no, but you have to take that approach. I mean, that's just something that it's a shot in the dark sometimes, but you got to go for it. Because, like you said, some people are just not the social butterflies, or they're just not the, wanting to be out there all the time. So everybody's different, but it doesn't mean that they're not social. It doesn't mean that they don't like to go out and have a good time. It's just a different way.
It doesn't mean that they're not approachable.
Exactly.
I'm like the most approachable, easy to approach type person. But you don't give me a chance. If you start, judging me before I even open up my mouth, I'm kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Is it me with the problem, or is it you?
But I don't think that, no, because me, like I said, I mean, I go off of looks and stuff like that. But me personally, I have to get to know you. I can't just go off of that. I'm past that, level of judging people off of that. So I'm going to have to talk to you. So that's the only way that we'll be able to connect. That's the only way for people to connect, is to have a conversation. And you don't have to agree with every single thing someone says. Like I said, it's all about being cordial as well. But we can all get along, and then we don't have to base that, like you said, we don't have to base that off of just your perception, because perception can, that can get us in trouble too. That's the difference between somebody being the victim of sexual harassment because somebody said something a certain kind of way and you perceived it a different kind of way. But now this person's in trouble. So, like I said, there's a fine line there. But as far as people are concerned, I think you physically have to give a person they have to give you a reason for you not to want to approach them. Like, they have to have said something to you or physically done something to you to make them think that you don't want to be around them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you what, Queen, I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation tonight. And while we were talking, I've done a little research on this post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
I have found the book by Dr. Joy DeGruy. Is that how you pronounce it?
DeGruy.
DeGrui. DeGruy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm willing to read. I'm willing to figure out some things based on what she has to say. I mean, if we're not able to come to any kind of solution, we have to be willing to read and figure out some different ways of doing things. And when I say doctor, I mean she comes with very high credentials, PhD, PTSS. So hey, let's get together and
definitely, it's a very good read. Yes, definitely. It's all about really I know both of us are seekers of knowledge, so this should be fun.
I tell you, it's great. This is as I look, this book was published in 2005, and the subject is on discrimination and racism, but yet it entails so much more. So I'm already ready to, as you can tell, I've already started my little research, and I'm always about trying to learn different things and read from different authors and to hear what psychologists and different sociologists have to say, because it starts with us. And
yes.
we aren't willing to go the extra mile to try to figure out what we can do to yet work within ourselves, because it's not necessarily that everyone else needs to be changed. It may very well be that it's my outlook on some of the things that's going on. So, I'll do quick, fast, and in a hurry. Okay, if I need to change, my way of thinking, my way of doing, then I'm fine with it. Please let me know. I don't necessarily smile all the time, but I do receive what people have to say. Now, I ain't going to let you beat me up.
Exactly.
But I will listen to what you have to say.
Yes. But don't cross the line.
Exactly. But is King available, or are we going to just go ahead and take it home for tonight and come back in on next week? Because I think that this is going to take a little bit more.
But he's having another meeting in the living room.
You tell him he can't be spreading himself too thin now.
No, I'm telling you, we just got back together today.
I mean, I understand, but, tell him that I'm a little spoiled and I need my time too. But no, I'm just teasing. You all come as a package deal, and I love that about you both, that you're both willing to share your wealth and your knowledge. And, again, it's about healthy living. So I think that this has been a good topic, and it's not one that needs to stop tonight. I think we need to pick up some more on next week. But then again, that's however you decide. If there's something else that you want to bring on aboard, I'm all for it. And look, we can be a little selfish.
You'll have some stuff to talk about once you get to reading. Yes, trust me. You'll have some stuff to talk about. It's a really good now. Really good read, and like I said, this topic has to continue because we have to face it head on.
Absolutely, and not be afraid. We don't have to go in radical and loud and rambunctious. We just have to start pulling our resources together and make sure that, like you said, it doesn't have to be monetary. It can be just an encouraging word. But we can't allow our people to go without hope. We can't.
No, we've been doing that for too long.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, again, I want to say thank you. I thank you for your wealth of information. I thank you for your referrals. I thank you for opening up my eyes and shedding light on our mental health because, as a whole, we do need to learn to be a little bit more, let's see, what's the word that I really want to use? In tune. We need to be more in tune with our mental health because it is affecting us physically. It's taken such a toll on us physically, but we have to learn to pull our resources together and become unified. So, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to say thank you again for listening to Breaking Chains with Healthy Mondays. We have Queen Sheena Williams and Elder Katrina Kennedy, and we're going to sign out. We would like to thank you so much for listening in, and we'll ask you to tune in with us again on next week, on next Monday at 7 p.m. as we bring more information on Healthy Mondays. You're listening to Blog Talk Radio, and this you can feel free to dial in at any time, but we're signing off tonight. But the number to dial in on is 858-357-9137. We would love to hear feedback or information or referrals or references or ideas or suggestions or just to be able to have group talk on what we can do to bring back the good health to our Healthy Mondays, and not only on Healthy Mondays, but every day. Queen, do you have anything else that you'd like to say?
Yes, looking forward to next week. I appreciate everything that you had to input, Queen Katrina, and my kings and queens out there. Remember peace, love, and health.
All righty. Take care.
You've been listening to Breaking Chains with Healthy Mondays on YAT Radio. Tune in next week, same time.
Go to our website,
blogtalkradio.com/YAT Radio, or call in 858 357-9137. It's Breaking Chains, YAT Radio, where we leave a mark that can't be erased by breaking the chains of silence.